Hi guys, it's Ahmed again from WDSportz, back again with another interview, and today we've got another special guest. Michelle, why don't you introduce yourself?
Michelle Dorling, Essex Senior League Secretary.
So, your job. What fits under secretary in the job you do, and what are the roles that you take on?
It's a difficult one to describe. First point of contact for anybody, for the clubs, for outside the football environment, and the first point of contact with the county FA and the FAs. So the role's very varied. It's a very interesting role.
What if someone said to you, what is your favorite part of the role, and maybe if you can as well say what is your least favorite part of the role, what would you say?
The favourite part of the role was dealing with people, mixing with the football community. It's a fantastic, supportive community, so I love that side of it. The least favourite, the difficulties that we have. We have a number of problems with ground chairs and fixture congestion, that sort of thing.
In your role, I'm assuming you work with a team as well. How do you think you work as a team to deal with, I don't know, set issues that clubs have, and how do you think you resolve it? Are there some times where sometimes you've got to play the unpopular role and do what's best for the league, or do you think clubs just sometimes agree with your decision?
I think we have got a very strong committee. We've got a strong committee, and we don't always agree, which is perfect, which is what we need. We need diverse attitudes and opinions and values. So this is why we love the committee we've got. With the clubs, no, I don't think they agree with us. If they really felt strongly about something, they'd go against the committee, definitely. We try to work for the benefit of the club.
Yeah. You talk about working for the benefit of the clubs and your role like that. How would you say your relationship with the clubs is? Do you think you keep an open communication, or do you think it's very much, I want to say, formal with your communication, or do you think you have an open to end relationship with them?
No, mostly everybody on this committee has an open relationship with the clubs. We have players, managers, coaches, and the actual club committee contact us. But very rarely do we stick to the secretary to secretary directive, which is what's in our rules and regulations. That's usually if there's some sort of issue with the club, but very, very rarely does that occur.
You say it's a voluntary role in your position. How long have you been volunteering, and how well do you think you manage it with your other aspects in life, such as your real life profession and your family and friend life?
I've been involved with football since I was 13, 14 years old. I started with Walpole Wanderers when my brother started football under 11. And I got involved then. I was doing the match day reports of the local newspaper, went on the committee and carried on for a number of years. I've been at Essex Senior League and in a committee capacity for probably 15, 20 years now. So yeah, I've been with the league quite a while.
That's really good. You talk about, being involved and stuff like that, and we get a lot of people who ask, how do you get involved in football? Do you sometimes just think it's just going down, offering to help your local club?
Oh, definitely. We've got a slogan, that we used when we did the Westfield at Stratford Westfield campaign a couple of years ago, where we said, if you're involved with football, it isn't just kicking the ball, it isn't just the coaching, it could be as a press officer, it could be as a physiotherapist, it could be fundraiser, it could be any element. So you don't have to have a natural interest in football per se to actually be involved with your local club and your club committee.
That's a good way of thinking about it. When you talk about, being involved and stuff like that, do you sometimes, what motivates you, if you have to say, because obviously as well, with all due respect, it's a voluntary role, so there is no monetary value in that aspect. So what motivates you to keep on going and dealing in the competitive world of football?
Oh, what motivates me? No, it's not financially rewarding, that's for sure. But I think it's because it's like having an extended family. And so you just help help your wider community, football family. So I get that personal reward. I actually enjoy football, so I go to a lot of games. My husband enjoys football. He's a referee. Our 4 children are referees and/or coaches. I'm a qualified coach. My husband's a coach. So football's in the blood. We love football.
That's really good. So you'd say probably it's your passion and your love for the game, but as well, how do you deal with sometimes taking your passion out of football and dealing with the business side of it? Do you ever think it's hard to take away the passion for the game and think of it as almost like a numeric value when it comes to football?
Oh dear. Now you've posed me. Right, okay. Okay, I don't, I'm very passionate, so I can't take the passion out of the game. I have to sometimes think on my head instead of my heart when I'm making decisions and things. Depends what it is. There's a lot of bureaucracy in football, and perhaps football doesn't move with the times as quickly as I'd like, but that's my impatient side of things. Um, yeah, football's changed a hell of a lot in those 20 years. It's a faster game. It's a younger game in senior league. In years gone by, maybe 16, 17, 18-year-olds wouldn't have made first team football. In the last 3 or 4 years, they're making first team football and really contributing to it. So that's a big change. They're getting younger, more qualified, more skilled, and more experienced. So they've got every opportunity to go further in the National League or higher.
Mm. Again, when we talk about working in football, I'm sure you've never dealt with anything like this epidemic we're dealing with at the time. How do you think your league, and probably perhaps if you want to talk about as well, the whole football world has reacted to it? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's unfair? Or do you think sometimes there's no way to really deal with this because no one really saw this coming?
No one saw this coming, and precedent has set. So there isn't anything to refer back to look into the rules. I know the FA have looked at, when football was suspended in the past, which was, Second World War style, but that's completely different. That was a sort of man-made situation, and this is just blown everybody's mind. I don't know if we were the first league, but we certainly were one of the first leagues that had a potential case of coronavirus, and that was reported to us, unfortunately, on Friday the 13th. Mm-hmm. So that day was horrendous for us, absolutely horrendous. It went on from sort of 10:45 in the morning, 11:45 in the morning, going all the way up to 11 o'clock at night, phone calls, debating, discussions with the community, and postponing games one after the other as more and more people got to know what symptoms were and that they potentially had a case, or people were worried. We ended up with no Premiership games on the 14th and only 2 reserve games on the 14th, 1 reserve game on the 13th, and that was the last football played in the league. So it was very early on, and at that point it didn't really matter. We were taking these cross club player contaminations or potential contaminations as a precautionary matter and postponing games after taking advice from NHS 111. After that, it seemed to explode and football was stopped very, very quickly. Now, in my professional capacity, I work in an exam department in a local college, and we didn't hit that stage until the following Monday, and it seemed to explode at work. And then by the Friday, we were all shut down, weren't working anymore. And that was before the lockdown came through on the following Monday, on the 23rd, 24th, something like that.
How are you dealing with clubs at your level who are a bit frustrated? Say, for example, you've got clubs at the top of the league who are near promotion or probably future title contenders who are now seeing this decision that the FA respectively have taken where they've decided to scrap the whole season. How are you dealing with that as an organisation?
It's a very difficult one. I don't think, as I said, it's unprecedented. Nobody has any idea when we'll actually be playing football again. There's lots of estimates and lots of suggestions. There's 3 weeks lockdown again. Do I really think we'll be playing football at the start of August? No, probably not. I think we'll have a delayed start. I do think we will be playing football 2021 at some point. It will start, it commence. Clubs that unfortunately, it was very difficult in our league because top of the table, Saffron Walden, they played 29 games and they were on 66 points. Hashtag had played 26 games, were on 65. Now, they could have quite easily won the title and been promoted. Then we also had Walthamstow, who were, creeping up there. They had games in hand and they weren't very far behind. There was 3 points between the top 3 clubs. So that's one match result, potentially. So, yeah, it's very difficult. We can't see a points per game that would have worked for our league and had everybody happy. Unfortunately, and that's reflected in the number of clubs that potentially could have won the league in the Premier Division. Now, across the National League, I'm aware there was only something like 3 to 5 leagues that had a title decision made because the clubs were so far in advance on their points. Most of us, because of the weather, had a number of games outstanding. And we had, at the time that we postponed, we had 152 games, league games and cup games that were postponed, that were scheduled. And we hadn't got to the finals of any competitions. So that's a number of, I think it's something like 90 games across the league. League games that we were postponing. That's a big difference, and the point structure in that alone could have made a huge difference to the league. So it's very difficult to say that any one club would have won the league, unfortunately, at this stage.
How are you dealing with, because obviously clubs at your level and respectively lower levels as well are not, your Man Uniteds, Man Cities, your Chelseas or your Arsenals, where they have a lot of finance to keep themselves afloat. Some of these clubs you work with may rely on, people coming in to watch the game week in, week out. How are you helping them? Or do you think there is not much you can do in terms of financial aid because these clubs need more people to actually help them rather than yourselves?
We've been helping our club by and assistance where required. We've helped some clubs complete the grant applications for different grant organisations. The problem is everybody's applying for grants at the moment. So that's a real worry that some clubs that were eligible may or may not receive the grant entitlement because of the sheer numbers involved. For example, Sports England one, by the 6th of, I think it was the 6th of April, they said, it had 2,500 applicants for their emergency funding, and that was up to a value of 10,000. Now, they only have a finite amount of funds. How can they give money to everybody? It's very, very difficult. I would have liked to have seen something come through specific for football from maybe the Football Foundation, and I have harassed them and emailed them and asked them that, but at the moment there's no plans that I'm aware of for that to come through from the Football Foundation. Sports England are covering every sport, so it's very difficult for them to say predominantly football is going to get it, or they can't do that because they are for all sports. Our clubs do need volunteers because the volunteer network is very, very, it's an aging population in a lot of cases. It's shrinking, so more volunteers are expected to do more work, and that puts pressure on them. And we lose volunteers in the game every year. Financially, the league has, we've rescinded fines. We've not charged our clubs for player registrations for the second half of the season. And, we've done what we can. We have a very small budget of our own. We don't have a huge income. And we estimate our losses have been in excess of 29,000 by finishing the season early because of lost income from gate receipts from cup finals, for trophies that we ordered in February, for balls that we ordered in February, that sort of thing. Now the balls, we have a 3-year contract with our ball manufacturer, so those balls are last year's balls now, and we have to have New Year's